Yes, it is. It absolutely is bulletproof. Yes, it is. I hope it looks nice enough. Is that good? This actually, the thing that's interesting about this is actually from 2018. That's why this is blocked, because it was the day that election day was there. It's actually from 2018. Now, why would I tell you that? Why would I tell you that that is from 2018, and why would I bring it here? Because I've been crossing this state every single year for the past 6 years. I go to every single county, all 62, every year. I'm doing it again this year. Today I'm here. Tomorrow I'll be in Syracuse. Then I'll be in Niagara Falls. And I'm doing all of Western New York for a second tour. What are you running for, Larry? Nothing. I'm the only guy you will see come to your town and talk to you just like this when I'm running for nothing. I'm the only guy who knows what's going on in the state because I go to every single county and talk to you even when I'm running for nothing. It doesn't matter. This is my 6th time crossing the state. Now, some other politicians will tell you, they will say, no, I go to every county. No, they go from Republican fundraiser to Republican fundraiser or Democratic fundraiser to Democratic fundraiser. They don't talk to you. And they come in with their security. They say a couple of words. They grab your checks and they leave. And they do it in all 62 counties and then pretend like they've helped you in some way. I've done over 500 of these. And by the way, this one is live. It's going live on the internet. And I do all of them live and all of them with no notes. Why? Because whatever I would tell you, I would tell anybody. So whatever I would tell you, I'm not, oh, I'm here, so let me just say these things. And then when I go over here, I'll go say these things. You get the same things no matter what. I know it's crazy. Someone who tells the truth, someone who talks honesty, someone who doesn't care about who I'm in front of, except I will say it in a way I hope you will hear me, but my idea is always the same. People in New York, we are struggling. Someone earlier today just asked me, Larry, why are you doing this? It's an important reason I do this. I don't want to move. And that may seem selfish. Maybe it is. In 2017, I didn't want to be in New York State anymore. I was tired. I was ready to move. And for what I do, I live in Queens, and what I do for a job is I'm a business consultant. And I need big business to do my job, for me to make money. I need that. So I thought I'm going to pack up and I'm going to leave New York City. That's why I live there. All the big businesses are there, right? And I thought I'll head down south. I'll go to North Carolina. I'll go to Charlotte. It's a big city. I'll be making lots of money. It'd be awesome. So I went down there physically, looked down there, checked prices out. I could sell my shoebox of a house in Queens, buy a mansion in North Carolina, have money left over, pay less tax. I thought, oh my God, this is amazing. But instead of me moving, I got angry. And I said, why in the world do I have to live the state that I'm born in, the state that I love? My family and my friends are all there. Why do I have to leave? Because my government sucks so bad. We are so blessed in this state. We have a state that has everything you could imagine. Everything you can imagine. We have all the seasons and they're wonderful. We have lakes, we have rivers, we have mountains, we have hunting, we have beaches, we have Niagara Falls. We have the largest city in the entire country, all in our state, which gives you Broadway, which gives you history, Statue of Liberty. All of that is in our state. Yet every single year, now, over 300,000 of us leave. Think about that. Over 300,000 of us leave every single year with that kind of beautiful state. Our government is so oppressive, it literally breaks up families. My mother had to die in South Carolina because she couldn't afford to retire here. Here's what I can guarantee. Every one of you knows somebody who's left. Is that true? Yeah, every one of you. Every single one of you knows someone who's left. That's embarrassing. It's something we should be ashamed of. But our government's proud of what we've done. I don't know why. But they are. They might say, well, Larry, it's okay. You went and ran, so things went well, right? No, I mean, things went okay, but not great. I came back thinking I was going to become the governor and fix everything. That did not go as planned. But I did do something important. I made the Libertarian Party in New York State for the first time ever an independent party, a recognized party in New York State. And you may say, Larry, why does that matter? Because in 2018, when I got 2% of the vote, which was enough to make that happen, I got 100,000 votes, which was the most any Libertarian had ever gotten in New York State in the history of the Libertarian Party. No Libertarian got more than that. In 2019, I did what I was doing now, and I crossed the state again. And I did it supporting local candidates. There were 107 libertarian victories in 2019. Most of you have no idea that even happened. But it did. They were all local. 107 libertarian victories in 2019. Then in 2020, in a budget item, New York State destroyed my party. Why? They'll give you all kinds of stories. Let me tell you why. Because change was happening. How do I know that? Forward Party, No Labels Party, RFK Jr., Vivek Ramaswamy, Cornel West. That's how I know. Whether you're left or right or middle or whatever, or radical, whatever you are, somebody third party saying, look at me, look at me, look at me. I'm doing it. Of course, I'm the OG. That's fine. I'm doing it. We're all trying to do it. But when you have an actual active third party, you will have better Republicans and better Democrats. Why do people vote for me? 25% of people who voted for me in 2018 were registered Democrats. About 40% were registered Republicans, and the rest was somehow mixed, nothing, something or other. That's almost a third and a third and a third. Who else can do that? Only a third party can. Well, don't worry, Larry. It's okay, because I know the Democrats kind of screwed you over. The Republicans will never do that. Well, here comes 2021, and I'm coming at it again. And I said, I'm not going to quit, even though you guys beat me up, took my party away. I'm coming back again, and I'm going to make it work this time. And I did. Until this time, the Republicans got scared. Democrats had knocked me off the first time. Now Republicans got scared. They said, wait a minute, I thought we had to get rid of this guy. Now Republicans came at me. I was polling at 6% in December of 2021. Check it out if you want to. The Zogby poll, multiple polls, 6%. I hadn't announced yet. That's how popular I was. You might go, 6%, Larry, that's terrible. I'm a libertarian in New York State. Just keep that in mind. I'm not a Democrat. I'm a Democrat. I poll 6%. It's embarrassing. I'm a libertarian. Hadn't announced and polled at 6%. That's insane. That put fear in the hearts of the establishment. If this guy actually announces and moves forward, he might do something. So I went to the other parties, and I went to the Republican Party too. And I said, you know what? Why don't we not do this? Why don't we instead take advantage of fusion voting? And why don't I run in your primary? And now if I win your primary, I get all the lines, and this is a winnable race. We can create a coalition against the establishment and change New York State. Yes, great idea. Sound amazing. And the Republican said, well, why don't you become a Republican? I said, then I'll lose. You might go, Larry, really? A Republican has not won an election, a statewide election, in this state in 22 years. Let me say it again. A Republican has not won a statewide election in this state, nothing, not AG, not senator, not governor, in 22 years. And the state's getting bluer, not redder. Because of those 300,000 people leaving New York State, 250,000 of those are Republicans. And you know they are because you know the people who are leaving. They've literally made Florida red. New York State, and those of you old enough, you got some gray hair like me, you remember when Florida was a swing state. Those days are over. And that's because New York Republicans moved down there. Now it's a red state, but in droves. There's only about 2 million, a little more than 2 million Republicans in the entire state. Almost 7 million Democrats. 4 million unaffiliated. The future of the Republican Party in this state is finished. It's over. Now, locally, Republicans win. And there's some very good local Republicans. They are, absolutely. And locally, Republicans do win. I'm talking statewide. Now the assembly has supermajority. What are we going to do? We have to create a coalition. They agreed and said, Larry, that sounds amazing. But when I was Republican, I said, then I'll lose. Because Democrats don't like voting for Republicans. And they went, what? I said, do you like voting for Democrats? They went, no. They feel the same way about you. The same way you feel about Democrats, they feel about you. It's the same. They're not voting for you. And they said, you know what we're going to do, Larry? I said, what? We're going to sue you off the ballot. And they then took $100,000 and sued me off the ballot. That's how I got removed last year. So 2020, the Democrats threw me off. 2022, Republicans threw me off. But guess what? I'm still here. I'm still here. And I'm here because if you see what's happening in New York State, if you watch people leaving, I would ask you, what politician has come to you and said, I have a plan to stop the bleeding? I'm going to tell you, none. They don't. Republicans don't bother anymore in a statewide election. It's all just talk to grift to get money because they're going to lose. Democrats don't care because they know they're going to win. It's set now. Who cares? Maybe we can get a Senate that may not be Democratic. Maybe. I'm probably stretching on that one. Maybe. I mean, a state Senate. The Assembly is going to say Democratic, and unless we do something different, so is the executive branch. And for that means judges too. So we have two choices. Make a change or pack up and leave. I don't want to pack up and leave. So I'm going to give you actual answers to fix things. I'm going to show you that these things are important, and I can give you actual answers. Why does that matter? Because even if I don't win, and of course I hope I win, of course I do. It does happen sometimes. So you remember Jesse Ventura, when I was an independent in Minnesota to become governor in the 90s? Does happen. Maybe lightning will strike and I'll be that governor. Could happen. But even if it doesn't, what has to happen is I have to be on a debate stage so I can say these things that no one else is saying, so I can actually make them give you answers to questions and issues and problems. So you have to actually fix something, because right now they don't have to. Democrats, their entire campaign is Republicans are bad. Republicans' entire campaign is Democrats are bad. So who's winning? It's not us. It's them. They all still make money. All the Democrats made a ton of money last time, and they're all in good positions. But guess what? So Republicans too. The leadership did. The individual Republican on the ground, still hurting. Individual Democrat on the ground, still hurting. Tip-top leadership, doing just fine. Both sides. I'm trying to make a change here. How do we do that? Here's how we do it. Here's how we do it. Next April in 2024, I need to get a bunch of people out in the streets to get me at least 60,000 signatures to get me on the ballot in 2024. That's the number one thing I need to do. 6 weeks in April. That is not easy. That's almost 1,000 a day. It's 10,000 a week. It's crazy. Can be done. Say again? Oh, I love it. You are hired. Done. You are doing. Hired. Done. Yes. It is very hard to do, but it can be done. And we have to raise money and press. We have to raise money. 6 figures. We have to raise $500,000 by next year. We've already started. We're on our way. We have to raise $500,000 by next year. Why? 3 reasons. 1, we'll have to pay some people to get things done. We'll need leaders and things of that sort. We'll need that. But 2, we'll need lawyers, because the Republicans or Democrats or both will sue, because why not? And 3, the only pressure that we have against the judges, is going to be the press. We will have to use the press, and we will have to buy our way into the press. What does that mean? For those of you who don't know, you might go, Larry, why didn't they cover you more last year? Why didn't they cover you more in 2018? The press covers you when you buy ads. It is pay to play. Those of you who've run, you know that's how it works. Those of you who haven't run, probably didn't know that. They don't cover you because you're good or smart or savvy. They cover you because you buy ads. Why do you think RFK Jr. and Vivek Ramaswamy are only on podcasts? Because they don't buy ads. But in the podcast world, they make money by views, not by advertisements. So the podcast world brings them on so they can make money on views. But the mainstream media, only ad space. They don't buy ads, they don't get on. That's why that works. So we have to buy it so we can get on it. We also have to buy polls. You might go, wait a minute, polling? Yes. Yes. Larry, why weren't you in a poll last time? Well, because I didn't buy the poll. Buy the poll, you're in the poll. Pay to play. So we got to raise money too. We have to do those 2 things to make sure the third thing happens, and we can make it happen. Why does that matter? Because if it happens, we can make change. Without it, there's no change. Without it, the state keeps collapsing. Without it, our friends keep leaving. Without it, our families keep getting broken up. Our young people come here, get educated, and leave. Older people sit here, retire, and go, I'm out. I can't stay here anymore. And the workers who are here have checked out. How many people do you know who are waiting for one of 3 things to happen before they leave? Their kid to graduate some school, them to retire, or an elderly parent to pass. Those are the 3 things that most of us are waiting for. One of those 3. One of our kids to get out of school they're in, us to retire, or an elderly relative to pass. When that happens, we pack up and we leave. Happens all the time. That's got to change. Now, I gave you some doom and gloom. I know I did. I know I did. But I gave you the truth. Then I'm going to tell you, find another politician who will tell you that. They won't. They'll go, New York strong, or some lie like that. We're going to give you something for free, or we're going to beat the Dems, or whatever lie they're going to tell you. They tell you that. That's not what I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you the truth. But also, I'm here to take all your questions and your hardest questions, and I will give you an answer for every one of them. The biggest one. We have to make a change here in New York State. The change is we have to create a fund in New York State called the New York Social Trust. Same thing that Singapore does, same thing that Norway does. It's a trust we create that the big banks throw money into and get a dividend from. So you're not paying for it, the big banks are. Why does that matter? Right now, big banks, and one thing, if you know this is already happening, they're buying up real estate. Left and right, buying up real estate. Why do you care? It's making the rents impossible, and now you can't even buy anything. It's making housing shortages, and the prices are going higher, and the rent's going higher. I want them to stop buying it. Why are they buying it? Because they hate us? No, they're buying it because it's a good investment. I'll give them a better one. They'll put their money into that fund. They'll stop buying up all the houses. You'll see things begin to stabilize, at least in New York State. But not just that. We put money into that. Within 2 years, that fund can pay for education directly. Why do I care about that? Reason number one, we're going to take $18,000 and give it to every single kid. Every kid in every district gets $18,000 depending upon what district they're in. That's it. That's all the money they get. That's it. No state funds, no federal funds. Why does that matter? Two reasons. One, no strings. Local people would actually control their own school district. Wouldn't that be great? You could actually control your own school district. What you want in your school, you could actually have in your school. Imagine that. But even more, I'm not mad at teachers. I'm upset at the system that has created a situation to where we have school districts in New York State where there are more administrators than are teachers. We are over-bloated with administrators. Not just that, teachers who are good go, why should I be a teacher? I should be an administrator. I don't have to teach, make more money. So now we're losing some of our teachers. Go ahead, please.
VPS, I think it was like $213,000 for the superintendent there.
Correct. The average teacher makes in the New York State makes about $70,000 to $80,000 a year, which is not bad. That's a living wage. I'm not upset about that. Good, happy, fine, no worries. The average administrator makes double that. Some make triple. Correct. There are administrators in New York State that make $400,000 a year. I'm not making that up. Administrators, $400,000 a year. They can all go away if they want to. Up to them. The local school district can decide. Most of them are administrators because of federal and state strings. Once those go away, all of that goes away. But I'm not done. $18,000 goes to each one of these districts. There's a $6,000 credit for any student who is either homeschooled or into a private school. So now if you go, you know what? My school district is fine, but I'd rather homeschool my kid. $6,000 credit. You know, I like my district, but I'd rather go to private school. $6,000 credit. Guess how much private schools will cost in New York State now? $6,000. Because that's the government money. That's what it all cost. Guaranteed. But why not the whole thing? Because I still want you to have your own community. Which means now that your kid is homeschooled, they can still be on a local football team. They can still be in the math club. They can still go on a school trip. They can still use the library. Keep your community together, even if you educate your kids separately. I don't mind. But I go one step further. Once this is paying for schools, why do we need school tax? We don't. School tax is eliminated. You eliminate school tax, most of us, depending on who you are across the state, your property tax will go down by about 50%. Depending on where you are, some a bit higher, some a bit lower, but it'll be around 50%. Your property tax goes down 50%. So you still get better schooling. You're not paying any more taxes, and your property tax is cut in half. And I gave you an actual answer. All that's on my website. If you want to watch it, check it out. You can, you want to. I'm so serious about policy. True story. I did 8 hours live, literally 8 hours live without a break for food or bathroom, talking about New York State policy. And I ran out of time. I still had more. That's how broken this state is. Not just one idea. There are tons of them.
That's on his YouTube channel, too.
That's also my YouTube channel. Just go to Larry Sharpe, look for 8 hours. You'll see me. I did 8 hours straight. Every single thing you can imagine. And it's time-stamped. So if you care about a certain issue, go to the timestamp, watch the issue. I'm not kidding when I say this. And here's the worst part. I've had most of these policies on my website for 5 years. And no one's taken them.
Why?
They don't want to fix anything. Why would they? Why would they? There is literally no incentive to fix anything. I'm not joking. I'm not being cynical. That's correct. And it's all because, see, as long as, here's what you may not like. Her Majesty Queen Kathy, first of her name, she is amazing at one very important thing, giving out money to her cronies. She's actually better than Cuomo at this. And I didn't think anybody could be better than Cuomo, but she actually is. Every time it's a problem, what does she do?
Write a check.
Yeah, but she doesn't necessarily do it that way. What she does is, we're going to create an office. That's what she does. Doesn't go, here's money. She says, we're going to create an office, and my friend's going to run it, and his friend's going to also work there, and so's his sister. That's how she does it. She creates an office. Why in the world would we, when it comes to the Buffalo Stadium, right? And for those of you who know Western New York, people love the Buffalo Bills in Western New York. Literally, if it's during that season, good morning is go Bills. That's good morning, right? Go Bills, go Bills. Love the Bills, right? They're going nowhere. Not just that, all of the owners are billionaires, and all of the players are millionaires. Who do banks love loaning money to? Billionaires and millionaires. They love financing these people because they all have money. So they could have financed the stadium themselves, but they didn't. Why? Why did Kathy Hochul want to have $850 million so she can give out those jobs? That's the reason. She controls who gets the jobs. She is now the ring giver. That's how this works in this state. Who will tell you that? Republicans will even tell you that. Why? Because they're getting a cut. That's the reason why. Because Republicans in the state have accepted second-class citizenship. They're happy taking their little fiefdom, and they're getting a cut too. You have to break this system. I'm talking about breaking this system. The idea I just gave you is not a good idea, but I got two more for you may enjoy. One more. What if the second you turn 65 years old, your property tax goes down 5% every year until 85 down to 0? Why would I want that? Because I want to encourage you to retire in my state. We have New Yorkers who are earning a pension, and they're taking that pension and they're spending it in Florida or Tennessee or Texas. I want you to spend your pension here. You're going to spend it here. But we have a system to where you can't afford to live here. It makes no sense to live here. So we change it. Cut that property tax in half, and then as you get older, drop it by 5%. But wait a minute, Larry. What if I don't want to have a house? I don't have a house. Doesn't matter. If you've had a house for at least 10 years in this state, it applies to you. If you decide, you know what, I don't live by myself anymore. I don't live with my cousin or my niece or my nephew or my son or my whatever. Okay. If they take you in, their property tax goes down 2.5% every year. Why? Larry, we'll lose money. No, we won't. Two reasons why we will not lose money. Number one, people will be keeping families together in their homes. They won't be going to nursing homes, which the state pays for. So off the bat, we start saving money. And number two, you're spending your pension here, which is what I want you to do. I want this state to be a place to retire. Tennessee's already doing this. Tennessee has no income, no state income tax, and has property tax benefits. I'm sorry, not Tennessee, Kentucky has property tax benefits for seniors. So people go retire there. I want you spending your pension here. It does matter. I will ask you again, what plan has anyone else had for that? None. There is no other plan. I'll give you one more, and I'll take all the questions you want. One more. Imagine if at the end of every year, you have to send your tax dollars back into Albany. You could take $250 of that if you wanted to and give it to a nonprofit instead. If that nonprofit's in your county, it's doubled to $500. You may go, Larry, $500, what's that? Nothing. What happens when 1,000 people do it? 10,000 people do it. 1 million people do it. What am I doing? I'm building my local community. Because now instead of waiting and hoping that they decide to fight, whether the state runs the road or the feds run the road or local road, and our roads are garbage, I can just say, I'll go fix the potholes. If you guys give me your $500 every year, I'll go fix the potholes. You guys, well, I like that, guys, do it. So you all give me a bunch of money, I'll go fix the potholes. Now, what if I'm bad at fixing the potholes? What happens? I don't get the money next year. I have an incentive to fix the damn potholes because you won't give me the money next year if I don't. So if I don't do a good job for the people, I get punished. What if government is a bad job for the people? They get more money. They get rewarded for failure. That's why the potholes never get fixed, and our budget keeps going up. By the way, we have the largest budget per capita in the entire country. 18 countries and California have a bigger budget than us. We are losing 300,000 people a year, and our budget keeps going up. IRS says we lost $20 billion in revenue, IRS numbers, in 1 year from migration. Our state is on its way to bankruptcy if we don't change it. I just gave you 3 ideas that anyone could have taken. Any Democrat, any Republican could have put them in their platform and taken them. I'd have been happy. None of them did. However, one good thing though, when Kathy Hochul, when she did take over, she did put my use my talking points in her inaugural address. She did, which is nice. They meant nothing, but they sounded good, so she used them. So there's something positive. Guys, I want to say thank you so much for giving me a few minutes. I'll take what you can clap now if you want to, so people know people are here. Thank you. I am happy to take, and to be very clear, any question. There's nothing, no question that I will not take. Any question. You already had one. Let me go to her real fast. Go ahead.
Okay, so it's not necessarily a question, but maybe just a little bit of a caveat.
Yep.
And I heard this at the school board meet and greet, and my husband is not here, so it's better for me to say this. My husband is a high school assistant principal.
Yep.
I can tell you we are not living high on hog.
Mm-hmm.
And I can also tell you he works himself to death every day, all day. So when you say administrators, maybe what you mean, maybe like people in the upper echelon.
Let me be very clear. Let me be clear on this. Let me be very clear. I am a libertarian. I believe localism is the right answer for almost everything. I will make exactly 0 decisions on who is let go or fired. All I know is you will now have a budget and not require as many administrators. Your local school district will decide who gets fired. If your local school district decides your husband's a wonderful administrator, they will keep him. If not, then they will not.
What I'm challenging is just the word administrator as an overall, because that my husband is a public school administrator. He's a high school assistant.
The odds of him voting for me are slim to none. Just being very forward. High school administrators are all part of the teachers union, which is not really teachers union, it's really an administrators union. They're not going to vote for me. Oops, could you check that? Thank you. Yeah.
Certainly not vote for any Democrat. I can tell you that. Never once, ever, not happening.
Republicans feel the same way about Democrats, though.
I do understand that they're just slightly behind, but I'm just trying to say, and for all these people who, everybody keeps asking me why did you move here, and I tell you that my husband, is one of the newer assistant principals at RFA. Just so you guys know, because you're my local, you're my friends, you're my neighbors. My husband and the other assistant principals in Rome are not. They're.
Let me say it again.
Not,
I have, ma'am. Please. I get you, but it's not a question. So I know you want to defend your husband. I get it. I'm glad. I hope your husband's awesome. I'm not attacking your husband. I'm just saying that local people will make decisions. I, as a governor, should not be deciding who you hire and fire in your school districts. It is exactly the wrong answer. You as parents, you as the people should be deciding, not me. If you think you need a lot of administrators, please have them, but because you believe it's the right thing, not because I say so. My opinion on administrators is literally irrelevant. What matters is you locally. And I hope your husband's an amazing administrator and the people love him. I hope he gets promoted to principal. I'm sorry.
Assistant principal, you're talking about administrator to me in the school. You're talking about the top dog.
Correct. Those are, and I was very specific. I said people, if you heard what I said, I was very specific. I said the administrators I'm worried about are those that are there because of federal and state strings. Those are the ones I'm concerned about. You need principals regardless of state or federal strings.
Correct.
Someone has to run a school. So those administrators are not the ones I mentioned. I literally said, if you heard my words, I said administrators that are there because of federal and state strings. So someone says, for example, we need to make sure that we have a percentage of students who are going to college so we know what that number is and keep it high so we can reward you with dollars based upon your placement, things like that. I don't care what your placement level is. You should care. I don't care if your kids go to college, go to trade school, or whatever the case may be. You should care. That should not be something the governor is deciding. That should be something you are deciding. So if you want to have someone doing that administration, go ahead. I have no problem with that. I, as a governor, should not be deciding, because here's what I know. One, I will be wrong. Number two, I will make sure that my cronies get paid. How do I know that? That's all that happens. Again, those of you who've been around, remember the lottery? That was supposed to help education. Remember that? That did, and that went to administrators. That's where that money went to. So you're making it up, just do your homework. That's where that money went to. New York State spends more money per child than every other state. We are the most, and we rank when it comes to graduation rates somewhere in the 30s or 40s out of 51, because they count DC. That's how bad we are. If you're making this up, do your homework. It's absolutely true. It's absolutely true. That's where we are. So I apologize if you were insulted. I didn't mean to insult your husband. I don't know your husband at all. My point is, whether you have good administrators or not is not my issue. It is your issue. Local people should be controlling their own schools. You, as a parent, are the one who's supposed to be deciding how your kid is educated, not the governor. That's the issue. Go ahead. Oh, thank you. Yes. I hope I at least answered your question. I know you didn't like my answer. I apologize, but I hope I at least answered it.
I just don't like your definition of administrator.
I know. Go ahead.
Well, basically, I was gonna say, you're talking about the state and talking about, basically budgets going up and things like that. To me, I'm sitting here hearing the county over and over again.
Yes.
Our county is now $500 million.
Yes.
And as far as our administrator there, our current administrator, started around around $70,000, $80,000 a year, and 17 years later, he's almost at 160.
Right. Absolutely.
And so I hope.
So the county keeps becoming broke. Meanwhile, he keeps getting raises.
Correct.
Yes, that's the norm.
And the legislature. Let's get that.
That's the norm. Correct.
There we go.
Yes.
Meetings in half.
As I just said, when government fails, the punishment is more money. That wasn't a joke. That's an actual thing. When government fails, the punishment is more money, right? We have to pull this out. That's why I'm libertarian. I completely agree with you. It's got to change. Unfunded mandates, by the way, is the death of the state. Unfunded mandates is the death of the state. We have to end unfunded mandates. We have to find other ways of raising money other than taxation. That's the issue. One of the things I also brought up is in New York City, we have an MTA problem, a massive MTA problem. You guys may go, Larry, why do I care about the MTA? I don't live in New York City. Because you're paying for it. That's why. By the way, thank you for paying for my subway ride. I appreciate it. Thank you. Yeah, see, at least someone said thank you. Thank you for paying for my subway ride. You're paying for it. It is a $6 billion boondoggle before the lockdowns. After the lockdowns, it's worse. What can we do? We should have freight coming into New York City at night. The nighttime trains run at about half speed. Every other train runs at night. So now instead of that, full speed, but passenger, then freight. Who would pay for that? Well, I don't know. FedEx would be happy to have that. So would Amazon. So would UPS. These guys have billions of dollars in their marketing budget. They rebuild the system. Now all of a sudden it's safe. It's all rebuilt. And what happens? No worries. And what happens is now the pricing can go down. We're raising prices, by the way. I don't even know. We're raising prices downstate now. Now it costs more to get in the subway, and it's more dangerous and less effective. And you're paying more for it. In this case, you actually pay less. And on top of that, you get a brand new system. What do? You actually can lease out naming rights to the hubs. Now it's a FedEx hub, it's a Home Depot hub, it's whatever hub. So you get a better service and less dollars. Who else is saying that? Not just that, less trucks in the city, less taxes for you guys. So anyway, thank you for that. Go ahead.
Me?
Yep.
All right, so I was just wondering, because you took the oath of the Constitution. There's no
I did.
people in this room took an oath of the Constitution. Where in the Constitution does it say anything about two parties having a monopoly on the political process?
To be forward, political parties are not in the Constitution at all. They're not in the Constitution at all. They're a fabrication that we just made up. There's literally nothing. And you may not know this. I'll go so forward as to say, political parties have destroyed our democracy. They have. And let me tell you why they have. You may think, no, Larry, I like my party. And maybe your party's wonderful. I don't know if it is. I know mine is okay. I'm sorry. Yes, but let me keep going. When you have parties now, party bosses now decide who runs. Well, wait a minute. If a party boss decides who runs, what about you guys? You don't have to decide. Back in the day, did you know that the state didn't print ballots? You brought your own ballot in with whoever's name you wanted to, because you can vote for anybody, because our Constitution doesn't say that anyone decides who you vote for. You can vote for anybody you want. and they have to count your vote. Those days are gone. Printing the ballot is a new thing in America. You came in with your own ballot. I'm voting for Johnny Jones for president. Awesome. Jane Smith for my governor. Done. Count the votes, who won. That's how it used to be. Those days are long gone. Parties decide. Well, wait a minute. What if you don't like the guy or gal in your party? Too bad. And now you gerrymander the districts so that now the Republicans or Democrats always win. Does your vote even count anymore? It doesn't. It doesn't. So party bosses in a deep red or deep blue district decide who's going to run. Let me tell you how blue my district is. AOC is my congressperson. Accept your condolences. Yes, she's my congressperson. In my local state state assembly, the Republicans have not run a candidate in 10 years. They haven't run a candidate in 10 years in my assembly district. 8-1 Democrat I'm sorry, 6-1 Democrat Republican in New York City. Yes. And when the Republicans ran someone 10 years ago, he lost by 70 points, not 17, 7-0, 85-15. They didn't run anybody 10 years before that. So in the past 22 years in my district, Republican ran once and lost by 70 points. How's that democracy? And the party bosses decide who runs. And a guy like me, who can take time off and who can go out and run, gets pushed off the ballot because judges in New York City, judges in New York State literally say, yeah, the whole point of this is to make sure no one gets in the ballot who can't win. The judges actually told me that. So they actually told me that right to my face. No, Larry, you can't talk. Wouldn't let me talk. I'm the one getting my butt kicked. I couldn't talk. That's the system we have now. So your point's a valid one, right? Parties are hurting us. And you might go, but Larry, people can handle it. Somehow in California, when they did recall, they have like 400 people on a ballot. Somehow they still elect the governor somehow. I mean, a bad governor, but they still elect one. They somehow do it. Somehow in Europe, they have tons of countries that have like 4, 5, 6, 8 parties, and they somehow still function. Are we that dumb we can't figure out if someone has another party in their name or something? This is done to stop it. This is done. More important thing. They don't have to fix anything with 2 parties. Because every year they tell you the same thing. I'll protect you from the other. Those other people, I'm going to protect you from them. And then now we're so bad that our definition of victory is just hurting the other. That's it. So if I live in New York City, most people are Democrats. If the Republican loses, Democrats go, yeah, we won. Great, is the city any better? No. Is your life any better? No. But we beat the Trumpster. Yay, I guess. That's it. They didn't win anything. Their life didn't get any better. Nothing got better, but they own the Trump guys. See, yay. That's what we are now. So your point is very valid, which is why I'm sitting there trying to break this mold. I want an independent third party in the state. The Conservative Party is a puppet party. The Working Families Party is a puppet party. All the Conservative Party ever does is just what the Republican Party said. In fact, the Conservative Party led the charge to throw me off the ballot. Led the charge. Led the charge. The person on the ballot was a Conservative Party member. The Working Families Party just does whatever Democrats say. There are no independent parties in the state. Go ahead.
What does a libertarian stand for? And the Declaration of Independence was founded upon Christian values. What is your opinion as far as that's concerned?
Libertarians absolutely believe in one important thing: freedom over everything else, to include religious freedom. What people don't understand about the First Amendment is you will hear people say, well, the First Amendment's about free speech. That's true. And freedom of assembly, and freedom of religion, and freedom of the press, and your ability to petition your government. All of those things are in the First Amendment. So libertarians believe 100% in all of those. Absolutely. And localism. You do you. My $6,000 credit, if you want to give it to a religious school, okay. It's a private school. It can be a religious school if you want to, right? My family's a member of the Eastern Orthodox Church. My kids go to Greek school, which is a religious school. I don't mind. Totally fine. You do you. That's what matters. And that's what libertarians are about. Localism, localism, localism. Look, there's someone once told me, a guy who loved Brooklyn so much, he said, Brooklyn is a blood type. And I said, that's amazing. I'm glad you love Brooklyn. And he does. And if you love Brooklyn, you should live in Brooklyn. And if you don't like Brooklyn and you want to live someplace else, Why don't you live there also? And why don't we not make the entire state Brooklyn? Let's not make the entire state Wyoming County. Let's not make the entire state anything. Let's make each county its own county. Live how you want to live in your own world. That is libertarian value. That's how I stand. Everything I talk about is that. Localism, localism, localism.
When I say libertarian, I say liberal. Are you a liberal?
I am a classic liberal, if that makes any sense. What that means is someone who says, if you're not picking my pocket or somehow knocking me over that or hurting me, you do you. So, yes.
It's important for you to communicate that going forward, because when I hear libertarian, I think of liberals, which is not a good thing.
Well, if you live in New York City, it is.
There was a liberal party.
Yes, there was a liberal party.
There's
Yes,
confusion with liberal
there was a liberal party.
and
Yes,
libertarians.
yes. All good. What you have to understand is one thing. Right now in New York State, I'm the guy trying to move this forward. If you look at my website, if you hear me, the things I'm saying make sense to you, follow me. Help me. Get on board. If they don't, I understand. Good luck. You do you. I'm not mad at you. You should do what you think is best. But that's what I'm asking you to do. Did I answer your question?
Yes.
Great. Go ahead.
Little different focus here. I look at New York State as being overregulated, over politicked, over everything.
100% agree.
And as we were speaking earlier, it's a beautiful state, all kinds of assets,
100%.
but they're pushing people out,
Yes.
and they're basically violating our constitutional republic.
All the time.
As a governor, how is our national constitutional republic important to you or not important to you? How?
This is a very challenging piece because as governor, you only have a couple of things you can do in that regard, right? One of them, of course, is you want to try to defend the Guard, our National Guard. It is for us, you can't just send off our troops to go fight in a war without Congress declaring war, right? So we do want to make sure we defend our National Guard. That's number one, right? That's important. But this other thing is, believe it or not, it's going to be by pushing back against the federal government. And let me give you 3 ways. I've already talked about it. Number 1 was the idea of education. Once education is paid for by the fund, the federal government has no power over us. So, and the federal government should not be controlling education. That is unconstitutional. That's just one. You're right. I could probably name 1,000, but that's one of them, right? For those of you who've been around for a bit, you might remember something. The Department of Education only started having any teeth at all in about 1980. Before 1980, it did exist, but it was basically a repository for information. It didn't do anything, it had no teeth. I would ask any of you, since the Department of Education has had teeth, 1980, has our education gotten better or worse? Yeah. There's no one who's gonna be like, wow, now we have Department of Education, now everything's better. I don't see that anywhere. So it has to go away. How do I do that? By fighting and saying, I'm not gonna do what you say. Well, we won't give you money. I'm not asking you for any. Because that's what I'll do. We're not going to give you federal funds. I didn't ask you for any. I'm covered. Have a nice day, federal government. I'm covered. I got people fixing my potholes. Well, I don't need your money to fix my potholes anymore, federal government. I don't need your standards. I got it covered already. Have a nice day. I don't need you. You start pushing back. One more law. Wyoming already does this. Imagine to fix our farmers and small businesses, which are being devastated across this state. And no one talks about it ever. I'm going to tell you, they're being devastated. Here's how you help them out. You actually say a very simple rule. In New York State, if you agree to sell your product or service only in New York State, you are immune from all federal regulatory bodies. Done. You're immune. You don't have to use any federal regulatory bodies if you agree to sell only in New York State. Well, will that matter? How about small farmers who can now sell raw milk? How about local farmers now who can now slaughter their animals without having to go to the big boys? How about small businesses now who are competing against the national chains who don't have to follow all federal guidelines, but they don't. They got a shot now. That local diner's got a chance now. It increases the ideas of things that people love up here, like farm to table, helps it out too. Push back against federal government. And the more I do that, the more the states see it and go, why aren't we doing that? And at one point over time, this country and this state has been ruined over decades. I don't have a magic pill that I can fix it overnight. Can I shift it towards repair? 100%. Can we move it toward the right direction? Yes. Now I have 3 or 4 states pushing back. Now the states to the federal government and say, leave us alone.
Why is it that I hear so many people talk about us being a democracy?
Because at a local level, we are. At a local level, America is a democracy at local levels. Many local levels are actual democracies. So a part of America is democracy. A part of it is. Depends on where you are, what part of the country, and whether you're local or whether you're national. At a national level, most people use the phrase democracy to mean non-communist. It's an inaccurate term, but I think that's what they mean when they say it. They mean democracy. When they say democracy, they mean non-communist, what they mean. Did I answer your question?
Well, sort of, but the Constitution doesn't mention democracy at all. We are a constitutional republic under a democratic process.
Sure, which is why in certain local areas there are democracies. But depending on where you are in this country, some local towns and cities actually are democracies. Depends on where you are in the country. But when people use the word democracy, usually they mean not communist, which is not an accurate term, but that's what they mean. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm wondering what your view is on social issues and like bail reform. You've got Alvin Bragg down in your area.
Yep.
So I'm wondering what your view is.
Let me give you two parts.
Be somewhat liberal. What you feel about.
Let me deal with Alvin Bragg and then bail reform. Is there another social issue? Or?
No, social issues.
Sure. Let me give you all three of those. Alvin Bragg. The people of Manhattan want him. Leave him alone. They want him. I don't want to come up here and tell you who you should have as your DA. I don't want to tell you. They voted for him. They want him. Leave him alone. And I mean that seriously. I said localism, and I mean localism. Why in the world? What? And this is Lee Zeldin said this stupidity when he was running. Why in the world would I? The first thing I do as a governor is go into some local area and remove the guy that they want. They're happy with Alvin Bragg, so I'm going to go and remove him. Who are they going to vote in? Alvin Bragg too. They're going to vote the next guy in who they already want. Let me finish. So now my first action is to fire a guy that they want, which helps nobody else in the state. It pisses off one group of people and helps nobody. No, leave him alone. He wants to be that guy. Let him do it. They're living there. They deal with, look, I'm not a fan. I don't live in Manhattan, but it's not my place to say. Let the Manhattan people deal with Alvin Bragg as they see fit. That is so 100%. You asked my opinion, leave him alone. Number two, bail reform. The idea of bail reform was a good idea. The implementation was an absolute disaster and embarrassment. We really screwed up bail reform completely. And I was wrong on this one, and I'll be very forward. I thought that it would get fixed in the courts. I thought judges wouldn't let this happen, and I thought they would start putting people in jail, keeping them in jail, and then having it going through an appellate process, and then the judges then come up with decisions to basically fix bail reform in the courts. That's what I thought. Holy cow, was I wrong. Because I was not scared when bail reform got passed. And I said, I'm public on this. I was like, it's bad. I saw how bad it was, but I wasn't afraid. I really believed that our judges would fix it. Wow, our judges suck also. Our judges suck. So do the chimps in our legislature. They all suck. They're terrible. It's terrible. It's bad. Bail reform was a disaster. You could have fixed it with one simple change. And the simple change was focus on first-time offenders. That's it. All the problems of people we dealt with, they're all multiple-time offenders. All of them. So focus it on one thing, first-time offender. Is there a chance that some young guy does something stupid with the wrong people and gets arrested and learns his lesson, turns his life around? Yes. So focus on the first-time offender. You focus on first-time offender, this is solved. Because if there is a kid who screwed up and goes, oh my God, I'm sorry, what was I thinking? I thought I was being Mr. Cool Guy and I'm an idiot. Let him go home. Let him get back in his family. Let him learn his lesson. But with some people who've been arrested 6, 7, 8, 10, 12 times, what are we doing? What are we doing? Focus it on first-time offenders. Bail reform's fine. If you just focus on first-time offenders, that's how you repair that. But the idea of bail reform, making it fairer, was a good idea. Implementation was a disaster. So I think I covered those two. I covered Alvin Bragg and bail reform.
But I'm also talking about social issues.
Tell me what that means. That's really broad.
Like going into schools, and drag queens.
Perfect. Oh, great. Yes.
Black Lives Matter, all those things.
Absolutely. And I'll go right back to localism. I'll go right back to it. If you, to be forward, I would not take my kids to a drag show story hour. I would not do that. If you think that's a good idea for your kids and you want to take your kids there, you know what? You do you. I'm not going to stop you, but I'm not letting the state do it. But if you want to do it, it's your kid. Take your kid to, I'm not going to stop you. You're not going to listen to me. And there are lots of people who think it's a wonderful idea. Go ahead. Don't force others. Don't force others. That is my piece. That's correct. I have no problem with that. You do it, you do. I say it again. Some of you aren't going to like it because I may say that I will allow some to do things that I don't like. I will. I'm a libertarian. You can do you. I want to change your mind, not through force of law, but through my examples, through my community, through my works. The issue is I would not have government do it. But if you want to go, to your point, there's a drag queen story out, you take your kid over there, okay, you do you. I'm not going to stop it. But that shouldn't be in schools. Of course not. Why would I want to be in schools? But you do you. Does that make sense or no?
Yeah, sort of. But I'm saying, you want to be governor.
Yes.
You're going to be a head of, so, I mean, it's a nice answer.
Oh, I like that. Thank you.
But
It's a nice answer. I like that.
It doesn't address, you're the one that's supposed to be, if you're governor.
Yep.
The leader. Instead of giving everybody the freedom to do it, which, yes, they should.
Yep. So instead of giving them the freedom to do it, I should do what?
But the perversion that's happening in our schools.
Yeah.
And ruining society, you also have a responsibility to our society.
Good. So let me walk down that road. I'll do two parts. I'll go hardcore on two parts. I will not step away from this. I'll do drag queens, CRT, drag queen story hour in schools, and I'll do abortion, both of them. I'll touch both of them in New York State. So you see where I'm going with this. If you think CRT in your school is a good idea, if you like that and you think it's wonderful, you should do it. If I told you no or ordered you no, would it change you? Not at all. You do it anyway. You do it in your local school, you do it someplace else. I'm not changing you. Doesn't matter what I think. Me shaking my fist doesn't make you change your mind. What makes you change your mind? Because you see what actually works and what doesn't work. And you see what makes your kid better and not better. So if I allow people to do what they want to do, maybe CRT is the awesomest thing in the world. We're going to have great kids and everything's going to be, I guess, whatever. It'll be awesome and great. If that's true, the schools that teach that will have wonderful, awesome kids who are well-versed, who can survive well in the world, who are very successful. That we'll see it. Then there'll be schools that don't teach that. We'll see what happens there too, won't we? And that's how you will change your culture and your society. Not by me shaking my fist. It's simply not going to work. And I go even to abortion. People for years were yelling out abortion, going, Larry, you need to say you're pro-life. And I said, why? Because you need to say you're pro-life. Why? So I can be like all the Republicans who say they're pro-life and do nothing about it? Who say they're pro-life and then pay for the abortion of their girlfriend? Like that? So I can be that person? You saying pro-life is nothing but a virtue signal. You have no idea and no desire to change or to lower abortions at all. I had an actual plan to make less abortions in New York State, and I had an actual commitment that in New York State, regardless of the law, there'll be less abortions in New York State 4 years after I'm elected. And people say, but you have to say you're pro-life. Why? No one wants to vote for me. I'm anti-abortion. But I will not use the government to put their hands on the body of another individual, woman or man. I will not. How can we end abortion? There's only one way. Women have to choose to not have abortions. We have to change the culture to women choose to not have abortions. When women choose not to have abortions, there'll be no more abortions. That's how it will work. What does that mean? Abortion is a cultural issue. And so is CRT. And so is Drag Queen Story Hour. That's a cultural issue. If you're not prepared to fight that in the culture, you're not going to win. Law is not going to work. Here's what actually happens. When you outlaw abortion, you punish poor women. That's what actually happens. I don't want to punish poor women. I want people to have less abortions. I'll feel righteous when I yell pro-life. I'll feel righteous when I punish them. But all I'll be doing is shaking my fist. I'm going to ban CRT. I'll feel righteous, but I won't change anything. It's a culture war. It's not a political war. The political war loses.
I think it's more of a moral war than it is a cultural war.
I would buy that. I would buy that too. But all I'm saying is law isn't going to change that. So, and why do I say what I just said? I was the only governor candidate who actually spoke about abortion like I just did now and made a guarantee that there will be less abortions in New York State 4 years after I'm elected. And I warned people. I said, you think at the Supreme Court getting rid of Roe v. Wade was going to help New York? I said, no, it's not. It's going to make more abortions in New York. They didn't believe me. And guess what? There's more abortions in New York because now we're paying for other states to come have abortions in New York. Say again?
There's less abortions other places though.
Yeah, but they're all coming here now. I would like less abortion.
I don't think all.
I'm exaggerating, but you see my point.
The rich ones are.
Yes, they are. The wealthy ones are, and now the poorer ones will too, because now in the new budget, we're going to start paying for the poor people to come and do it also. That's the new budget.
How can you make a guarantee that you're going to lower abortion as well?
Because you have to make policies that makes it easy for women to survive and do well in New York State. One of them, in New York State, we've had surrogacy being illegal in New York State for decades. So now there's a woman who's pregnant. She's worried if she's going to have a child or not. She doesn't give her child up. In New York State, she can't be a surrogate. It's against the law. Well, that's silly. If there are literally thousands of families that would happily take that baby. Thousands in this state, maybe tens of thousands, but I'm sure thousands. You can't do that in New York State. Adoption is insanely hard in New York State. Should be very easy. Why is it so hard to adopt? I know I'm adopted. This is personal for me. So yeah, make it easier. You can do things just that simple. Make it easier so that a woman who finds herself in that position can actually make a decision to keep her baby if she wants to, and let someone else who doesn't have a baby or wants a baby or can't have a baby to have a baby. Yes, just doing simple things like that. Yes, thank you. And talk about it. Don't just go, I'm pro-life, and put my fist in the air and be a hypocrite. No, have an actual plan. I'm sorry, you want to back away? Please go ahead.
I wanted to go back to the Alvin Bragg situation.
Please.
So he's the Attorney General, and you're the governor.
No, he's not the Attorney General. He's the District Attorney in Manhattan. In Manhattan, yes. Yes.
And he's lowering a lot of the convictions
Correct.
from felonies to misdemeanors.
Yes.
Misdemeanors to nothing.
100%.
But if you're the governor,
Yep.
you are supposed to be overseeing the law and order of your state.
Yep.
And if you know that a DA, a prosecutor, is not doing his job,
Mm-hmm.
and he's permitting these criminals back on the streets
Yes.
to commit murder,
Absolutely.
he's victimizing your citizens.
And here's the issue. We need to be very simple with this. We need to simply have a recall measure. California does it. We need to have it too.
We don't
That-
have it right now.
Then we need to. That's my point. We need to have a recall measure, because this goes back to my point. Let's say I do that. I fire Alvin Bragg tomorrow. I get rid of him. They're going to vote in his clone or even him. They'll just re-vote him back in again. I'm not joking. They did it with Newsom. Literally, we saw this happen already. We think we got rid of Newsom. They voted him back in again. This is a fantasy. It makes us feel good. I'm tired of us feeling good. The Democrats have been doing feel-good stuff in this state for 20 years, and nothing has gotten better, but it's felt good. We're going to support these people, feel good about these people, give this way, give that away. And the state's a disaster. No feel-good stuff. No. I'm not going to fire Alvin Bragg so I feel good or I showed some virtue signal, and they put another guy who's even worse from after him.
But I don't think it's a matter of virtue signal. I think it's a matter of you're overseeing this, and you can clearly see that he's not following the law.
So what happens when I decide that your DA isn't doing a right job?
Pardon me?
What happens when I decide that your DA isn't doing a right job? Or worse,
I don't think it's a matter of deciding. I think it's a matter of what you see, what the people are saying, and what you see.
what if the people are saying it, then they should recall him. I agree with you. But if the people are happy with it, why would I get involved in that?
I don't see I don't see any headlines where the citizens locally there are happy with it.
Did you not just see that New York City is giving money to the people who they arrested during the BLM riots? That happened this week. So you just saw a headline. You told me you didn't. I just gave you one. It was yesterday. New York City is giving money to the people who they arrested during the BLM riots. Yes. So I've just proved my point. Is it they're 9,000 something apiece, each of them? Yes. Yes. And you're saying I'm going to change by shaking my fist? No, you asked for a headline. I just gave you one. I know what I'm saying doesn't feel good sometimes, guys. I'm sorry. I know it doesn't. Yes, it doesn't feel good. I'm giving you the reality. That's what's happening now. I'm giving you some ideas that people will get behind. They don't, when I give you ideas, people don't go, oh my God, Larry, it's the best ideas I've ever heard in my life. They don't always say that. But they go, wow, Larry, you've actually thought through this. You actually have an idea. Huh. I wish my guy or my gal thought. Me too. Imagine if I was on the debate stage and I was saying what I said now. Your local Republican or local Democrat would have to answer that question and couldn't just go, virtue signal, other guy, which is all you ever hear. Do you know, you might not know this. Your local politician, maybe not local, your statewide politician doesn't have a policy team. I'm not joking. They don't have a policy team. They have a communications team, not a policies team. See, some of you in politics, you know, there's no policy teams anymore. Why? They're not solving anything. There's no need for policy. They don't have any. They have communications. How do I virtual signal effectively to make you believe I'm going to beat the other guy? That's what they do to you every single year. I'm not doing that. It doesn't feel good. I know. It doesn't feel good. Go ahead, please. I'm sorry, say again?
Isn't that called constituent services?
Oh, sometimes it is, yes. Yes. How do I make one guy happy so the rest shut up? Correct, yes. Go ahead.
I agree with a lot of what you're saying.
Thank you.
When it comes to abortion,
Mhm.
when it gets to be the 7th, 8th, or 9th month of
I agree.
pregnancy, now I think that you do have to take a moral authority as
I agree.
a governor, especially in like those last 2 months. Because in the situation you're saying, Ed, like let's say in New York City, there's a hospital that wants to become the baby parts capital of the country.
Yep.
You know, I mean, then you have a place that is
No, your point is a valid one, and my view is I do think that viability is the right answer. I think viability was the first piece that we did before, and most Americans are fine with viability. I completely agree with you. There is a point where you have to say no. There is 100%. I agree with you 100%, and I would. I agree with you, and I would. My point is announcing that I'm pro-choice or announcing that I'm pro-life is useless virtual signaling. Do you have an actual plan? I do, and I agree with you. I think third trimester abortions are terrible. I agree with you. I think it should be illegal. I agree. I do. But it's a point I will say because I think that's a point I can actually handle that most Americans get behind. And I could still get people behind me to make less abortions with that stand. My goal is the outcome that I want. I'm a business guy. That's what I do for a living. I want the outcome that's going to matter. I want less abortions in New York State. I want people staying here. I want you retiring here. I want you spending your dollars here. I want small farmers to grow here. I want small business to grow here. New York State throughout history has been good on 3 things. We've exploded on 3 things: farming, finance, innovation. That's what New York has done great for decades, actually for centuries. No, those days are now over. We have to fix that or we're never going to come back. And I don't want to watch this state go down. I agree with you, though, by the way. I do agree. Yes, go ahead.
As for where you went with the conversation with the family, my question to you would be, and I never hear anybody talk about it, when a woman says it's my body, my choice, but it's a vaccine and I'm mandated. When a woman says she wants an abortion, the man has no say.
True.
So my question is, if they're going to go that way, why does he have to pay for the kid when she has the kid?
Well, there are.
How come it's a
No.
2-edged against the man and they destroy the man? And divorces always destroy the man. Very rarely does a man walk away unscathed. He's usually pretty well destroyed.
Let me touch a couple things. One, am I against a man having to pay for a baby that's his biological baby? No, I'm okay with that. I'm totally okay with that, right? Even if it's a woman's choice, that's a baby. You were part of the deal, unless there was something weird you did that I don't know about. You got some magic I don't know about. You were part of that. You were part of that deal. So I have no problem with the man paying for the baby. But let me go to the second piece: family law. I am literally the only candidate who has been talking about repairing the family law system for the past 5 years. It is a disaster. It's an embarrassment. It actually encourages deadbeat dads and crazy wives. It encourages them. In fact, if you're a crazy wife, you get away with murder and the great wife gets hammered. If you're a deadbeat dad, you get away with murder and the good dad gets hammered. That's how our system currently works. It is a disaster. It is crushing our men. And when I first heard this in 2017, I didn't believe it. I didn't. I'm telling you the truth, right? I have shown you some of my flaws. I'm a human being, and I change and I learn. And when I first heard it, I thought, that's probably some deadbeat dad who doesn't know. He's probably a bad guy. It's what I thought. Then I go to another event, same story, different guy. Different county, same story, different guy. 3 guys, same story, different guy. Oh my God, this must be real. So we have to fix it. And do I have a policy for it? Of course I do. Here's how you can fix it. Number one, many of you, if you've been through it, you'll know this. If you have, you may not know this. If you lie in family court, it is not treated as a felony. It's not treated at all as perjury. It's not. Maybe if the woman lies, it's completely okay. And you may say, Larry, you're being sexist. No, that's reality. Does not matter if she lies. If a family member lies, does not matter if they lie. If the father lies, contempt of court. So he gets punished if he lies. But no other lies are treated as perjury. Lies must be treated as perjury in family court. You are lying in a court of law under oath. It is perjury. Why does that matter? Because if it is perjury, a lawyer cannot encourage you to lie, because then they would be encouraging a felony and they'd lose their license. But right now they do. They do. Larry, you tell me lawyers encourage their people to lie? Yes, they do. Literally. Lawyers say things like this. You know, I'm not saying she hit you, but if you say she hit you, you might get something. That's how they do it. And he goes, yeah, she hit me. I'm not joking. Well, if you say she's on drugs, maybe she's on drugs. And that happens all the time. That's the norm. And there is no punishment whatsoever. So the first thing, here's the worst part about that. I'll go back to family. The children see that. The children, their example of motherhood and fatherhood and of love is their mother and father. Of trust is their mother and father. Then they go to family court and the lawyers get all your money, because what lawyers do is go, how much money you have? Let's do disclosure. How much money you have? If you have that much money, great. What a coincidence. That's how much it cost. What a coincidence that is. The amount of money you have is how much it costs. Look at that. How lucky are we? Every single time. So who makes money? The lawyers do and the courts do. You lose everything. And the kids watch that happen. And worse, now the kids watch mommy and daddy lie, because they know it's lies. And they watch it. And their idea of trust is broken. And we wonder why our kids can't have good relationships. Wonder why our kids getting divorced. Why our kids don't want to get married. Why our kids don't want to have girlfriends and boyfriends. But we taught them that it's a disaster. Our court system made it worse. I'll go one step further. Do you guys know that when you pay your dues for your family, it goes through New York State? New York State takes a cut, like a credit card company. New York State makes money off our misery. And family court judges know that, and they're giving value based upon how much money they bring in. Your misery is a New York State profit center. That's correct. If I'm paying my ex-wife money, that goes through the state, and the state takes a cut. Yeah, they take their cut. They can start a credit card company. Yes, that happens all the time. We have to make sure that the goal is to keep children with kin, and that lying is treated as perjury. We do those 2 things, and we will see things begin to change. Because right now the goal is not kids with kin. Literally, this will happen. So now, because they don't like you because you're a bad person. I've lied. I said you do drugs your whole life. I've lied. It's not true, but I say it. They're scared. Now the kids can't go with me because you said that I beat you, which I didn't. So now the judge says, well, I got a dad who beats people and a drug-addicted mom. Now what do? I don't know. I'll give it to the aunt. Well, I can't give the kids to the aunt because she knows you, so the kids might see you. I'm not joking. So now the judge goes, well, I can't give it to the aunt even. So CPS. And why do we go CPS? Because the federal government gives our state money for every kid we take away. I'm not joking. That's the profit center. Another profit center. The family court system.
Exploitation of the children.
Correct. And that's for the kids. Correct. And here's what I know for sure. For sure, a child will always have a better chance for success with kin than in the system. Always. The odds are always be better for that kid if they are with kin versus the system. Absolutely true. But no one talks about that. Why don't they? I'll tell you why. And it's going to sound horrible. Because most of the men who've been battered by the system are broke. That's truth. Most are broke. So they're really bad for donations. I'm not joking. They're bad for donations. And a bunch of them are also felons. A lot of them can't vote. And how were they felons? Because literally in family court, you can put an order of protection on somebody without them being in the courtroom and without any, and I mean without any proof whatsoever. So literally, someone walks up and goes, I'm scared, my husband, I need to put an order of protection. Okay, done. The husband doesn't even know. You shop at the same Walmart. She calls the cops, you're going to jail, you're a felon.
You violated the order of protection.
You violated, yes, you're a felon, yes. He's saying yes, and I haven't had a conversation with him before, because that's how it works. I've heard this story at least 40 times, if not more. That's how I can repeat it, and I'll keep saying it. He doesn't get it. He doesn't get it. Doesn't matter. And here's the worst part. The cops don't know. This is the worst part. When the cops see protection of order, the order of protection, they assume there was due diligence. The cops don't know. They assume there was due diligence. They assume this is a bad guy. So they're coming at him with sticks out. They're coming at him hard. So he's literally getting his ass beat for nothing.
Somebody lied.
Because somebody lied. Now he goes to jail. Now he loses his job. And you might go, wow, that's terrible. Well, that's okay. The judge will be fine. Judge will not be fine. The judge does not care if you lose your job. You must still pay. I'm not joking. COVID. Companies being crushed. You're losing your job. I don't care, pay. Get 2 jobs then. So now you'll never see your kid. Now you'll never see your kid.
And you can live in your car, but you can't live in your house.
That is correct. And you live in your car and he doesn't care. Not just that, he'll threaten to take your license away. And I mean your working license. Say you're a plumber, he'll take your license away. Well, then how are you going to make the money to pay your child support?
That's your problem.
That's your problem. Literally, the court system makes deadbeat dads. I'm not making this up. It literally makes deadbeat dads. It is a deadbeat dad factory. That's what it is. It is intentional. It crushes the men. It crushes the men. Who's talking about that? The guy in front of you. Nobody else is. Nobody else is. Did I answer your question at least?
You did a great job. I'm very proud of you.
Thank you. You had something? Yes.
I'm going to be brief and concise.
Okay.
I wrote an article for our Caucus newsletter about abortion and I used exactly what you said.
Oh, thank you.
Culture and society.
It is.
Not because I heard it from you, but I needed to take some of the religion out of it. I needed to show that it has nothing to do with my body, my choice. What it is that, for example, drunk drivers.
Yep.
Mothers against drunk drivers.
Yep.
Culture, society changed it.
Yep.
Smoking, sucking in smoke.
Absolutely.
Culture. changed
Yes.
it. And you can't.
So
It's the same thing about.
I agree. Let me do one more thing if I could. It's a little bit.
Life is sacred.
There's something else I want to bring up here that's important that we should be doing in New York State. And it may seem a little bit off topic, but it does matter. It goes back to my idea of localism and caring about actual people and culture. What we're not doing is we don't have any opportunities in New York State for ballot initiatives, citizen ballot initiatives. What does that mean? What it means is right now, if the assembly decides that they want to vote for something, they put it up. No, we should be able to decide what we want. An example that you would have here in New York State, school choice. If school choice will never pass in New York State because the Democrats, the elite Democrats run everything. They're completely held in a prisoner by the teachers union. So they're never going to pass school choice ever. You put that up to a vote for New York State, passes overnight. New York State wants school choice. New York leadership does not want school choice. If we actually had an ability to put what we want on an initiative, citizen initiatives, to pass either laws and or amendments to the Constitution, we could change things. Why? Because now the politicians would have to act before we act.
How would the citizens do that?
Usually through petitioning. Usually through petitioning.
County or?
Well, there's 2 ways of doing it. One, you can do it to where you have a higher threshold in less areas or a lower threshold in more areas. Does that make sense? Either one, and I'm okay either way. Some states do it to where you don't have to have that many, maybe like 10%, but it's like almost every county. Some are like, no, you need over 50%, but in like half the counties. Depends. So there's a number of threshold you use for petitions.
So that would be the end of teacher union, right? Is that the issue?
Well, that's what they're worried about, yes. But I'll go one step further with that. Let me go one more piece of that. I like localized. I like more democracy, not less democracy, right? I'll go one more step. Right now, public sector unions negotiate with the government. What if public sector unions negotiated with us instead?
They won't get anything.
No, they will. Most of us know someone who works for the public sector. Most of us know people, union members. We don't want to hurt the people we love. But now they're beholden to us. Why does that matter? Right now, they buy politicians. Buy us instead. I'm very serious. Buy us. You see it in California. When they go for initiative, what do? They do advertisements. Right now, what they do is they buy a politician. The politician votes the way they want them to vote. Instead, their budget or whatever their contract is in a referendum, and the people vote in a referendum. Does it work or not? We pass the budget. We're not going to, every one of us knows somebody who works for a union in this room. We all do. You want to screw that person over? No. But now the money now goes to us, and the money doesn't go to the politician. They're not buying politicians anymore. Imagine if governor doesn't sign off on the contract, but instead it gets voted yes or no from the people. There's no need to give me money anymore. There's no need to donate money to my campaign anymore. I'm not in charge of their money anymore. There's no need to bribe me. The power of the union to me goes away. The union still exists. I'm not anti-union. Union's First Amendment. It's freedom of association. Unions are fine. I just don't want unions buying politicians. Now they got to buy us. And I'm okay because we're the ones they serve. Let them buy us. I don't mind. Right now, if your sanitation picks up on Tuesday mornings, you don't like Tuesday mornings, what are you going to do? Nothing. But now they have a referendum coming up. Yeah, well, do your budget. Change it to Wednesdays. Fine, change it to Wednesdays. You get your pay, we get Wednesday. Life is good. I'm out of it. The governor's not involved in that at all. No state senators involved, no state assemblyman's involved. So I'm not trying to end unions. I'm not against unions at all. Unions are literally the First Amendment. They are freedom of association, freedom of speech. No problem with that. I have a problem with unions buying politicians. That's my problem. Does it answer your question? Excellent. No, by the way, every question you asked me, I gave you an answer. Some of you got angry at my answers. Some of you didn't. But I gave you an actual answer every single time. I didn't dodge one question. I answered every one of your questions. Go ahead.
I kind of want to make a statement, and then I was going to ask you what your opinion on this is.
Please.
So the situation is right now, where you live, you're bound to that school district,
Yep.
right? So like, I grew up in Rome, New York.
Yep.
If I want.
Thank you, my friend. Good seeing you.
Whitesboro Central School District,
Mhm.
I can't do that.
Right.
But here's the thing, like, your taxes are also down there.
If you notice what I talked about in my plan, there's no school taxes to go away.
Well, I understand.
And when school taxes go away, I don't care where your kid goes to school.
But another way to do that, wouldn't it be to say, hey, if I wanted to go to Whitesboro, I can go to Whitesboro. That could be based on the fact that the taxes there are different, or it could be based on the fact
Okay,
that.
hold on, to be very clear. With my plan, every kid gets $18,000 going to the school district. You can go to any district you want, I don't care. Do you want to drive your kids to the school? Okay. If the school district sees value and gets more money, they'll create a bus system. Let them, I don't care. Why am I involved? Why should I stop you? Go to the school district you want to go to. If you're happy driving your kid out of school, okay. Or don't. Okay. Or fix your own school district. Remember, with my plan, there's no state or federal guidelines. Your school district actually runs its own thing. So you can just fix your own school district if you wanted to, or drive your kid. Okay. Or homeschool your kid with a $6,000 credit, or help this guy start a private school, $6,000 credit. All good options. Again, why am I involved? I don't mean to be a nudge here, but why is the assumption the governor has to know everything? I mean, I am super handsome. Doesn't mean I'm super smart.
Well, there's an easy answer to that.
Please.
It's the control factor.
Correct.
Everybody has to be a slave to those who are in control of power.
I would like no slaves. That's what I would like. I would like no slaves. How about that? How about we have none?
We're financial slaves.
Correct.
And we're what do you call it? Thief slaves.
Yes.
And tax slaves.
Absolutely.
And we can't get away from that.
Absolutely. But we can begin to move again. We can move against it. We can move against it. We can move to the right direction. Did I answer your question? You could go if you wanted to. No problems.
Yeah, basically what I was thinking about is an alternative to what you're saying. What you're saying basically is kind of a big leap.
Yes.
And I'm thinking this would be a smaller thing to kind of get it to that direction.
Bye-bye, guys. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you.
AKA basically say like, Rome's taxes.
Here's why I don't want a small change. I am not someone who says I want to lower taxes. You never hear me say that. Because if I lower taxes, the next guy raises them. If I lower taxes, now we have more debt or someone else pays taxes. I'm going to find alternative ways to pay for things and eliminate taxes.
Yeah, well, this would effectively do something too, because like, let's say Rome's taxes are crazy, Whitesboro's not. Everybody decides to go to Whitesboro. Now Rome doesn't have any money, so all of a sudden they have to adjust.
If I don't change the system, they don't. They just get a grant from the federal government or a grant from the state government. Currently, that's how it works.
The governor, then they don't get the grant from the state government.
Well, I have to, if that's the system. If the system is all the people have to get grants, if that's the system, I'm going to decide you don't get a grant, but you get a grant? No, I'm going to have to give all the grants like they all do now.
Well, no, you give the grant based on how many attendance they have. If they don't have the attendance because they're taxed.
My point is how the system works now. If your school has problems, you don't have to fix your school. You just have to ask for more money. That's how the current system works. So you never fix the problem. That's why schools don't get any better. Rochester schools, by the way, in New York State are some of the worst in the entire country. If you are a black male in Rochester, the odds of you graduating high school, I think, are less than 20%.
What's that again?
If you're a black male in certain parts of Rochester, the odds of you graduating high school are under 20%. Correct. That's how bad the school systems are in our state. So I don't want a small change, brother. I get you. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying it's not going to work. I need radical change so that people can see change in their life and move and adjust and shift. Otherwise, it's just not going to work. In fact, I said I could go 8 hours. I'm not joking when I say, you see me, I'm still going. I could go longer. We should actually go from K through 12 to K through 10. K through 12 it shouldn't exist. We should be K through 10. The last 2 years of high school, most of our kids this year's right now is weed, study hall, and video games. And then that's true. The last 2 years is that. I'm sorry? It's mostly that. And then we wonder why the kids can't go to college, don't do well in college. The average kid takes 6 years to graduate college now. The average, 6 years if they even graduate. And if you're a male, you're not even graduating. Only women are graduating college. I'm exaggerating, but it's a massive change. If you're under 30 and you're a woman, you have a good shot of graduating college. You're a boy, small chance. And we do not at all help kids go to trade schools. And we need trade schools like there's no tomorrow. The trades are dying. The average tradesman in New York State's over 50.
Well, they don't offer the trade schools in the high school.
Do you know why?
Well, they
Federal funds.
Okay.
That is the reason. Why is there no civics? Why is there no shop? Not in the test. Not on the test to get federal money, to get federal funds. Not on the test to get federal funds. Not in the test to get state funds. But when those state and federal funds go away, you know what comes back into school? Civics, shop, home ec. It all goes back into schools. Bingo. Exactly right. That's why you get rid of the federal funds. That's why you get rid of the state funds. That's the reason why. That's why, my friend, in the American shirt right there, American flag shirt, that's why your small change is not going to be enough. I need a big change that ends the strings from above so we can fix what you just said.
I do realize that, but like I'm a realist. So my situation is I'd rather see some steps in the right direction.
So I am giving you steps. I am giving you steps. I'm giving you bigger ones.
Correct.
That's all,
I'm
bigger
fine
ones.
with that, but I'm just saying if they don't happen, it doesn't help me more.
But then the next guy, look, how in the world, two things I gotta remember here. One, if I actually win this thing, and I hope that I do, obviously, I obviously hope that I do, I will control the state Senate. Why? The state Senate's almost 50-50. I just need 5 or 6 people to turn Libertarian, and they will. I know the ones who will. They will turn Libertarian. I will control the state Senate via swing vote, which means I have leverage over the assembly. I can't control the assembly. It's far too much Democrat. There's no way I'm controlling the assembly. It's not going to happen. But I have leverage over them because I will control the Senate. So I can make change. I literally will be able to make change. So I want to make a good change. I don't make a change that when they impeach me 2 years in, that now someone else comes in and erases everything. No, this must be fundamental change. Here's the most important piece for those of you who may be watching, who may be paying attention outside of New York State. You may say, why do I care about New York State? Because this is the battleground state. If we stop them here, we stop them everywhere. If we stop them here, we stop them everywhere. This is where all the bad ideas start. We stop them here, we stop them everywhere. I hope I at least answered your question. Did I answer your question too? Good. I'm sorry, you had a couple. Let me grab her. Go ahead. You've been taking notes. Thank you.
I'm a note taker. I looked at your website and I can see that you have the policies on there.
Yep.
So I'll read that about the Second Amendment.
Please.
But what about, I don't see anything about climate change and all that stuff. What do you-
Well, two things to remember when it comes to the two parts. Let me touch two-way real fast, then I'll deal with climate change. Two parts of climate change. Second Amendment. Libertarian Party is the only party that actually supports the Second Amendment. The only one. No other party supports the Second Amendment. And the Republicans will give lip service and then say more laws. All gun laws are unconstitutional, and all gun laws are also, more important for the left, are racist. And people get mad at me when I say that. People on the right, you constitutionalists get mad at me. Don't say it's racist. It's racist. Why? Because now Democrats are listening. Because Democrats don't care about the Constitution, but they care about racism. So the Second Amendment's racist. Why? Because most of the gun laws in New York State, who are they used against? Young black men. That's a fact. Most of the gun laws in New York State are used against young black men. It's absolutely true. Wait a minute. I thought it was against the evil Trump 9/11 January 6th guy. No, they're not used against them. Most of those people, if you know about gun owners are some of the most legal people we have in the country. You have a less chance of committing a felony if you're a legal gun owner. So it's not against them. The gun laws are used against the poor kids in the cities. Well, I thought Democrats told me they care about the poor kids in the cities. Didn't they tell me that? Didn't they tell me they care about poor black kids? They told me that. Correct. But that's the problem. So it changes nothing. All it does is put more black kids in jail. That's all it does. So the Second Amendment is there for a reason. Libertarian Party supports it, as do I. So be very clear on that. Yes. The only legal gun is one you stole from somebody. That's the only legal gun there is. A legal gun is one you stole from somebody. But if you purchase it or made it on your own, it is not a legal gun. It's only illegal if you stole it. That's it. So,
And the climate change one.
Yes, climate change. Two parts of climate change. Number one, most people don't know this. New York State already has the lowest carbon footprint of any state in the country. Already. Why are we doing all of this? If you care about carbon, we're already there. We can chill a little bit, for sure.
And our air still sucks.
And our air still sucks because of Canada. Exactly right. Yes, on top of it. Yes, on top of it. And we scam. What we do is we buy energy from someplace else, right? Spending more taxpayer dollars to buy energy. And then say, well, they burned it over there, so it's not us. You want to solve our problem here? We can. We have to build 3 nuclear power plants in the North Country. That is the answer. 3 nuclear power plants with 3 separate grids. Number 1, defense against a cyber attack, having 3 separate grids. 1 fails, we have 2 more. Number 2, people in North Country desperately need these types of jobs. Non-government jobs, critically important. The government doesn't build it. It'll take us 100 years to build it if the government built it. All the government does is lease the lands and defend, to this gentleman's earlier issue, and defend the people who are building it against the federal government who will try to stop it. That's it. You build 3 of them. 1 of them is used to give energy to New York State, of course. 1 of them is used to sell energy so we can help fill that fund I talked about. Remember that fund that's going to pay for schooling? Helps us that. And the 3rd one is heavily pushed towards one important thing, blockchain mining. To bring blockchain, cryptocurrency, all those cool things into New York as a new industry. We have pushed it out. It's no more. It's stupid. I want young people to come back to our state. I want them to be all about this blockchain, all about Bitcoin. Come on in, cryptocurrency, mine it. If you mine it with a nuclear power plant, it is green. But I'll go one step further. Once you do that, we want everyone to have a Tesla. Great. I love it. Let's all have Teslas. No rules and laws to force people to have Teslas. I'm a libertarian. All these mandates are stupid. All these mandates are wrong. We should do none of them. But if I would like you to, I can encourage you. How do I do that? I now have all this new nuclear energy. Isn't that great? Awesome. Any gas station decides to put in EV stations, we give them a break on their property tax for the next 2 years. Encourage them to do it. What will happen? People will do it because they want to get a tax break. They'll put EV stations all over. We'll have EV stations everywhere. And cheap electricity. People will decide on their own to buy more electric cars. They'll just decide to do so on their own. Some people like gas. Good, have a gas car. The world's not going to end. But if you decide to have a bunch of electric, they will on their own. We can fix this problem by setting this example. Others will copy. The idea that we have dissed Generation 4, by the way, it's Gen 4. Gen 4 nuclear energy is nuclear energy that literally cannot melt down. It cannot melt down. I'm not making this up. Check out Gen 4 nuclear energy. It is new nuclear energy. I think it's thorium, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, thorium liquid salt reactor.
There we go, liquid salt. Thank you. Liquid salt. Fusion's still many years down the road, but thorium is today. We could build that literally in 2 years. That could be built.
It's a different type of.
Correct.
Yep.
Did I answer your questions?
Yes, thank you.
Awesome. I think I'm getting a nudge.
One more?
I'm going to nudge this. Okay. I said I could go for hours, but I'll stop.
Sure.
I'll stop. Anybody else?
Yes, I've got one last little question.
Okay.
You Come back. If we invite you.
Of course. I'm so happy to be here.
I don't want to see the big guy over there. I want to make sure that I said that.
Sounds
so
good.
Okay.
Happy to have.
Guys, if you want to follow me and help me out, please head over to LarrySharpe.com is the website. Larry Sharpe is the YouTube page, the Facebook page, the Twitter account. I'm Larry Sharpe on everything, on Threads, on local, everything. I'm Larry Sharpe on everything. Please check me out. If you want to help out, then here's what I need. 2 things, maybe 3 from you. The number one, tell people about what I'm trying to do. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell them. If you're on social media, share my stuff. Let people know, like my stuff. Number 3, donate. LarrySharpe.com/donate. Donate what you can. What I'd like to do is a little bit every month. 10, 20, 30 bucks every month for the next 18 months will help tremendously. Lastly, commit in April to help me get signatures, to get me on the ballot.
That's the big one.
That's the big one. Commit to get me on the ballot. It does matter. Get me on the ballot. It does matter. New York's
Anybody can carry petitions.
correct. Yes.
They're running as an independent.
The reality of it is, to be very forward with you all, whoever's Democratic candidate is going to win New York State next year. That is going to happen. We are 3-1 Democrat Republican on our way to 4-1 Democrat Republican. So the Democratic president nominee is going to win New York State. Now, Republican might win the presidency. It's possible. When Trump won, he won without New York State. So it's possible Republican may win the presidency. I don't know that, but I know a Democrat's winning New York State. That I'm sure of. Zeldin lost by exactly the amount that I said he would lose by. I predicted it months before. Again, I crossed the state. I knew he had no chance of victory.
Well, if you look at that thing she just handed out.
So, well, who knows? I don't know about that. But anyway, I know how the system did work. We'll see. But my point being, we can still get a third party available for the coming weeks, for the coming months, for the coming years. Please support me if you can. Thank you. Talk to you all soon. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate you being here.
course, yeah.
Thanks for taking so much time.
All right, folks.